In this beginner-friendly makeup tutorial, we're going to make some latex maggots along with also practice with some scar wax. So starting off, we're going to need some liquid latex. I'm putting this into the cap of my latex, and I'm putting this onto a semi-textured surface. Different surfaces that would work great for this would be either a flat piece of metal or a piece of glass, or in my case, I'm using this pencil case here, and I'm putting down latex just like this. It comes to a point, it's a little bit chunkier in the middle, and I'm making just about 15 or so of these because I want to have a decent amount. While we're waiting for this to dry, let's work on the stuff on our hand. What I have here is called Synwax. Synwax is just like scar wax, except it is a more firm type of scar wax and it keeps shape a lot better. This also has so much more movement to it. The only downside is it can be extremely sticky and kind of hard to work with because you need to warm it up first. If you put lotion onto your fingers, it warms up very quickly and it keeps it from sticking. Vaseline also works very well too, but keep in mind Vaseline can and will break down this product, so if you want to wear this for a long period of time, make sure to use just normal lotion. I'm flattening out some of these pieces and putting it onto my hand. If you wanted this to stick better, you could use some Pros-Aid under it, or some spirit gum, but spirit gum after a while will break down with this type of medium. I'm putting a couple different pieces onto the palm of my hand, and I'm using the Vaseline to go and start to blend the edges. I will be using a metal tool in a little bit as well too, and that's going to help me form the edges and make it look like it is a portion of my hand. As I'm putting this onto my hand, I'm building off of that bottom area because I feel like this would be the area that I have a lot more space to work with, and if there was something going on with my hand, there's so much more meat in that area. Now, after that has been smoothed out as much as I can, I'm taking this blunt metal sculpting tool and moving on to that next. I'm using this tool and very lightly scraping at the sides and trying my best not to take off any product. You can see how this is slowly starting to blend in with my skin, and this type of scar wax, or in this case Synwax, is great with blending in and you can make things look so incredibly realistic. Now I'm wiping off the remainder of the Vaseline, and after that has been wiped off, just to take off some of that shine, I'm taking the back end of a couple different makeup brushes, some that are large, some that are medium, and some that are smaller, to make different sized holes. When I'm making these different sized holes, because this can be pretty sticky, don't be afraid to go and dip it in some Vaseline or a little bit of lotion before you make these holes. Just make sure that it's not fully and totally saturated. While I'm doing this, I'm pressing and I'm just turning this slightly. That's going to keep it from sticking as much. As I'm doing this, I'm making sure these holes aren't overlapping each other. I just find that this type of makeup, if you make these holes separate and you don't really have them go into each other, it looks just a bit more creepy. Now, I'm grabbing some red powdered cosmetic. I'm using some eyeshadow from this palette here. Taking my brush, and I do suggest that you tap it out a couple of times or there might be a bit too much pigment. Scar wax likes to really grip any type of powder. So as you're doing this, very lightly brush the surface. This is going to make it look like it's slightly inflamed, along with also give it a bit more of that red, almost blood-like color. Because I would imagine if you had something going on like this, it would be extremely swollen, pretty painful. So that's what we're going for. We're going for a look like that. After the surface has been brushed, I'm moving over to some red water-activated cosmetic. I'm using some of the Mehron brand after that has been brushed. For the color, I'm going with this darker red color. This one's going to look almost like there's blood in the different holes, but more of like an older blood rather than a fresher blood. I also find that this water-activated cosmetic is gripped extremely well by the scar wax. Different water-activated cosmetics might not grip as well, it just really depends. So you want to play around with what you feel is best. You can use some lipstick instead of this, you can use some lip gloss instead of this, you can use eyeliner. As long as it is a red color, give it a try and see how it works for you. After these have been filled in, then you can always put a bit of shadow into there, so you can use some black or a darker shade. Now, Our latex should be pretty dry. To make the maggots, roll it up at one of the shorter, smaller ends. It'll be kind of chunky in the middle. And continue to do this with all of the pieces. Some of these are still wet, but it's fine if you roll it up because it's going to make it look a little bit torn, kind of messy, and that's what we're going for. These don't have to be perfect, but they're going to be great for this makeup. Now we're going to stick some of these into the holes. Bend them between two, and they should stick right in there. Typically, the Sculpting or Synwax that you would be using usually grips this extremely well. So as you're putting this in, you shouldn't really notice too many of these sticking up. You can always just press them very lightly or use the end of a paintbrush or a makeup brush just to stick it in place. Now that you have all of these stuck in place, here is the final makeup, and this beginner-friendly special effects makeup tutorial has been completed. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and happy spooky season. See you next time. Bye!